to Charm Chats.
Hello, I want to boop your snoot. Hi, and welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra.
And Cat. Wow.
None of that's getting cut.
Nope. Anyway, we're at episode 418.
Called Bite Me.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what it's about?
This one aired on April 18th, 2002, which is my friend Danielle's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that I don't normally do the whole trigger warning thing, but I'm going to for this one. I'm going to put a quick warning out there for abuse and possible gaslighting right at the top here so that you can prepare yourself if needed, because I had forgotten about it and I was not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Just putting that out there. It's quote-unquote subtle, but it's definitely a thing.
It's certainly more subtle than it previously has been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's why for me personally, I was like, I'm going to put a trigger warning because I kind of needed one while watching this episode and was not prepared. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get right on into it.
Mm-hmm. We start off with an exterior night shot of the manor that pushes in from the bottom of the stairs, and we see a flash of light before finding ourselves in the living room just as Piper dives over the couch to avoid getting hit by a light blast thingy that, like, it drills a huge hole in the front wall of the house, and a painting falls onto the ground.
Yeah, and I will tell you what she's wearing in a minute because it's hard to see what she's wearing behind the couch.
Mm-hmm. The lightning is coming from a demon lady clad in some fetching black leather pants and a vest.
Yes,
leather pants.
Pleather. Gotta love the pleather.
Pleather pants.
This actress is uncredited, but she is Petra Sprecher.
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 Not Sprecher. Sprecher. There's no H.
Sprecher. You are correct. She was born in 1973 in Basel, Switzerland. She's got 16 acting credits so far, starting back in 2002, but she has 62 stunt credits starting back in 2000.
Yeah.
And a fun fact, according to her IMDb, she speaks Swiss German, which is apparently a different language than German, which she also speaks, French, English, and basic Italian. And spoilers, she'll be back as a different character in season 6.
Yep. But yeah, that's, she's born in Switzerland. It's kind of bordered by a lot of countries.
Yeah. It's very, very true. And, that part of the world is much better at letting their children be multilingual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, them in Belgium have this thing where, like, whatever country is closest, like, in wherever you live, is, like, pretty much the more dominant language.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I was in Belgium, we were kind of central, and it was, like, Flemish area. So they speak Flemish.
Mm-hmm.
But there was, like, French Belgium, and then there was, like, German Belgium, and this was kind of like the mixture. It's kind of like if you get a flower and you slice the stem up halfway, and then you dip it in glasses of two different colors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the capillary action will carry the colored water up into the thing, and then it'll start mixing up in the flower. And you can get rainbow flowers like this by, like, doing it in 3. It's super cool.
Yeah. Very neat. Anyway, as Piper pops her head up, another bolt of lightning, whatever it was, takes out a portion of the couch.
Turns it from a couch into a love seat.
Uh-huh. Which brings our furniture annihilation quotient up to 17 for the season and 66 for the series.
Piper yells for Paige, who, well, more likely, she yells, "Where the hell are you?"
Yeah.
And then Paige and Phoebe Orvin.
Yeah.
And Piper warns them to look out, so they turn around, and the demon's about to throw another bolt, but Phoebe, like, knocks her arm away, and the blast hits the piano.
Which we are counting for the FAQ, which brings it up to 18 for the season and 67 for the series.
And you hear a very depressing piano noise.
It was so sad. Poor piano.
Yeah. Then I do not want to call her a black lady. Yes, she is black. She is, however, wearing black.
There you go.
Demon lady.
Yes.
Punches Phoebe, who goes flying into the fireplace and the mirror above it, and then knocks Paige to the ground.
Yeah, we're not counting that because...
No. Mirrors are not furniture.
Nope.
Vanities are.
Yes. Because that is a mirror attached to a desk.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Piper does this, like, backflip thing and then drop kicks the demon woman, knocking her to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Piper then goes over to Phoebe, and we can finally see what they're all wearing.
Piper is in jeans and a purple tank top that has a little string bow detail on the left strap with a black and white belt. Her hair is half up and she's got that little diamond necklace on. Phoebe is in a low-cut black dress with spaghetti straps that buttons up the back and a turquoise stone choker necklace. Her hair is pulled back into an updo with a leather barrette thing that has like a leather flower detail on it. And Paige is in brown pants with a pink belt and an off-the-shoulder top that's striped in pink, blue, yellow, and white. And the shirt also has eyes, a nose, and a mouth in black on front of it. I don't understand it, but whatever. Her hair is down and curled but held back by a blue headband, blue fabric headband.
And also the sleeves are ruffly.
Yeah, they're like a little
ruched.
A little ruchy, yeah.
Piper gets a piece of paper out of her pocket, and the girls read the incredibly generic spell.
Claws of pain we have to sever. Demon, you are gone forever. Just let that sink in for a second. It's the silliest. Oh, the silliest.
Yeah. And naturally, demon, vanquish in smoke and fire.
Yes.
Piper then apologizes for bothering them, mentioning that the demon was immune to her powers.
Phoebe says she was just getting ready to leave for work, and then Paige notices a scratch on Phoebe's shoulder, but Phoebe brushes it off like it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm. Piper asks how her new place is. Phoebe's like, it's great. How are you doing? And then Piper and Paige are like, we can't complain. And this awkward conversation goes on for like another 2 minutes.
Yeah, there's a little bit of awkward. Phoebe does seem happy that they're able to live apart and still kick butt if needed. And then asks who the demon with the bad manicure is. Which is a cute way of saying that she's got claws. And Piper says that she is a harpy that's part of a faction and she was trying to kill them to move up in the world.
Yeah, standard.
Of course. Now, that doesn't explain what a harpy is, but Wikipedia tells us that a harpy is from Greek and Roman mythology. It was half human, half bird. They are the personification of storm winds.
And also, what a dude calls a lady who he thinks is whining too much.
Yeah.
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 And they are usually bird on the bottom.
Yes.
That's the usual thing. Some of the artwork that has come out of harpies is some of the funniest things I've ever seen. Yeah. I think my favorite was the one that had like, it was like the bird bottom and then the neck was like this like long snaky neck to like this
swan.
Head. And I was just like, okay.
That's a swan.
Sure. Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Piper asks Phoebe if she wants to stay for dinner, but Phoebe mentions that Cole had planned a romantic night for them. She asks if everything is okay, and Piper's like, no, I just wanted to, catch up, but it can wait. And then Paige asks if Phoebe wants an orb home, but Phoebe's like, oh, Cole doesn't want you orbing in without calling first, unless it's an emergency.
Paige says it's fine in that it's not really fine, but okay kind of way. And Phoebe says that she'll call them, and then leaves after a moment of awkward silence.
And she doesn't have, like, a wallet or a phone on her.
Yeah, like, how is she
going to
get home? And my logic in all of this is like, okay, Cole doesn't want Paige to orb in unless it's an emergency. I get that. Like, it's the same thing of, Leo not orbing into the house.
Yeah.
Before they were married and he was living there.
Yeah.
It's like, don't orb into my private space. I get that. But if you orbed in to pick her up...
She didn't. No, she was at work.
No, she said she was leaving for work.
No, she said she was just about to leave work.
Well, then, why wouldn't Paige orb her back to work?
Dunno. Either way, the asking someone to orb, not to orb, in unannounced, is not a red flag, necessarily.
No.
It could have been posed in a much more respectful way. Yeah. I would say. A much more tactful way.
Yeah.
If it'd be like, hey, Cole has asked if maybe you wouldn't orb in without calling first. Like, that's reasonable.
Yeah. But
say, just putting the verdict down from, not on high, but on low, as the case may be, just seems a little, like, presumptuous.
Well, and I think...
Not unreasonable, just presumptuous.
I think for Paige, it's the fact that Cole is the one that's asking, and that's her thing. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as Phoebe is out the door, Paige turns to Piper and wonders about the no orbing thing. And Piper tells her that Cole is probably just trying to protect their privacy. And as Piper walks away, Paige mumbles something like, he's trying to protect something.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, I
not
understand.
An unreasonable request.
Not an unreasonable request of don't orb into my private space. I am with Cole on this one of, you know, don't orb without calling first.
Yeah.
Is a thing.
Now, I will say, that. If the script originally had it being, like, Phoebe asking, because Cole has mentioned it, hey, could you not? Like, posing as a question versus a verdict. Mm-hmm. If the script originally did that, and then they're like, that doesn't sound evil enough, and then they changed it to be like this, I'd be like, you know what? Good choice. Because it doesn't sound unreasonable, but we all know, because Cole, that it's ulterior motive, and therefore it makes Paige suspicious, but not Piper.
Yeah.
Or Phoebe.
Yeah. Speaking of Cole...
And then, right after this protecting something line, we cut to a shot of Cole looking out the window of the penthouse in a lovely black suit.
Yeah, and we can actually see a reflection of the Golden Gate Bridge lit up in the glass.
Yeah.
And, like, it was such a cool shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a computer generated or if it was just
I think it might have been because the angle was too low.
Yeah.
It looked too low.
Yeah. It was, but it was a cool looking shot.
It was.
It was really neat.
But anyway, he's talking about protecting assets.
Yeah.
He's having a business meeting, and when he turns around, we see it's all demons.
Yes, it's a bunch of demony types. Mm. He like you said, he's telling them that he's trying to protect their assets, which means that they need to cut their losses and consolidate their resources.
And this really reminded me of that episode with the Muses.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the demons asks what he's proposing, and this demon will eventually be known as Keats. He is played by Jay Acavone.
Acavone?
Acavone,
possibly?
His name's
Acavone. I don't know.
I'm gonna go Acavone. Sure. He was born in New York, 1955. He's got 109 acting credits so far since 1980. His longest gig was in the Beauty and the Beast TV show that ran from 1987 to 1999, starring Ron Perlman and Linda Hamilton. And Ron Perlman played Vincent, who was the Beast on the show.
I for a second, I got confused. I'm like, don't you mean Minnie Driver? And then I remembered that it's the Beast and the Beautician, I believe she was in.
Yeah, that I don't know. But I'm putting a link to the opening of this Beauty and the Beast show. It is... I honestly do not understand how it lasted 3 seasons. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
That's all I'm putting out there. Oh, man.
Anyway, Cole says he's proposing a merger, and that they should all work together to accomplish their goals. Again, the Muse episode.
Yep.
Fury smokes in. Cole looks at her and he's like, you're late, and tells her to sit down, so Julie directs her to a seat.
Yeah. Now, as far as I can tell, she gets no credit on IMDb, though there is one actress who is listed as uncredited and has no picture. The uncredited role is named Orlin. The character is named Orlin. But this Fury never gets a name, and we never actually hear the name Orlin spoke in the episode. But just in case, the actress who is uncredited, gets the uncredited credit, is named April Mills. She only has 8 acting credits between 1998 and 2002, and 7 of those 8 are uncredited. Ugh, so
unfair.
Yeah.
Anyway. Again, Julie shows her and then a Grimlock to their seats at the table. And of course, the Grimlock
is played by the one and only Michael Bailey Smith.
He's back, baby.
I believe this is his last appearance
Aww.
in the show, and it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Everyone raise a glass for
Michael Bailey Smith.
Michael Bailey Smith.
Raise a glass of Bailey's.
Cole gets back on track as Julie pours glasses of blood for the table. I thought that was
goblets.
Hilariously funny.
Yes.
But everyone at the table drinks blood. Like, all right. Cole says it's the new millennium. Or more to the point, it's a new millennium.
Yes.
And they need to stop trying to kill each other or everyone loses.
And then a lady in the same kind of black pleather getup as the one that just got vanquished with the same little clawsies.
Yeah, who
so
we will
obviously
learn
she's
is the leader of the Harpies.
Yes, she's the leader of the Harpies. She chucklingly mentions to Cole that the Grimlocks tried to vanquish them just last week.
Yeah. This actress is Betty K. Bynum. She only has 7 acting credits between 1994 and 2010.
Mm-hmm. Michael, of course, says she had it coming. She challenges him to a rematch, and they stand up and, like, start to face each other. But Cole's like, hey, bitch, is this what I'm talking about?
Yeah, this my point.
The humanity in me has taught me that we have to work together to achieve common goals, like defeating good.
The Harpy and the Grimlocks sit back down, and then Keats asks if Cole is the one who's going to decide what the goals are. He, of course, doesn't use the name. Mm-hmm. But Cole's like, unless someone's going to challenge me, yeah.
Yeah. And then the elevator dings. And there's, like, a too long pause.
Yeah, there's a way too long pause.
Before Cole's like, meeting's adjourned. And then the demons...
All of them kind of leave via whatever magical means.
It almost looks like
shimmering.
It almost like he reverse summoned them, like he banished them from the room.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because it happened so simultaneously.
Yeah,
where like you can't get 3 people who aren't trained in dance to have that kind of choreography.
Or Chinese. The Chinese government, like their
true,
choreography is just down.
True.
They got it. Because, you know...
Yeah. Well, they also do those morning meditation thingies.
They also do it on pain of death. Sorry, that was rude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And also, that's North Korea.
Well, there is that, yes. I was being mean, and I apologize. Cole waves his hand. The table disappears just as the elevator doors open.
And then we see Phoebe, who is not looking up at this point, exit the elevator, and he quickly, like, throws an arm out, and... little romantic table setup happens.
Yeah, little dinner for 2 thing happens. Phoebe walks in, he says hello to her, mentioning that she's home early, and she just kind of smiles at him, and we go to the opening credits.
No Daryl in here.
No Daryl this episode, and it's kind of sad. Mm-hmm. Now, according to Shazam, the post-credits song being played on Netflix is called Wrong This Right by a band called Terra Terra Terra. But other than finding a 30-second clip of the song on Shazam's own website, which then led me to a YouTube video for the song itself, but it's just a still photograph and the song. Like, there's no moving picture. I could not find out anything else about this band, this song, nothing. And I couldn't find the song on YouTube just by searching for it.
Weird.
Yeah, it was super weird. Anyway. We get a shot of the Oakland Bay Bridge that pulls out to show the city, where we get a great look at the Triangle Building before we have an exterior shot of Cole and Phoebe's building.
Inside, Cole is wearing a lovely gray suit with was it a green or yellow tie?
It was like a vaguely colored tie, but I don't remember what color it was.
Mm-hmm. And he's serving up a vegetarian egg white omelet for Phoebe.
She is in a sheer white shirt that has a small scoop neck and slightly belled sleeves that hit just below her elbows, as well as embroidered and sequined like peacock feathers on the shirt in random places. And we can see that she's either wearing a white bra or a white bikini top underneath.
Whatever it is, it's strapless.
It's not strapless. It's just very, very thin strap.
Okay.
Like super thin strap. But it's also, the reason I think it might be a bikini top is because there's a strap in the middle.
Yeah.
That is just a single strap, and there's not a whole lot of fabric covering. It's like just enough to cover
because it's
what
a
needs
sheer
to be
shirt.
Covered. But yeah, it's a sheer shirt. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it was possibly a bikini top
shirt
underneath. She has paired that with light wash jeans, and her hair is down and straight. And it's one of those outfits where you just look at that and go, Prue would be proud.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he kisses the top of her head. She's like, my stomach has other plans. And after a beat, he asks, what's wrong?
She says she's got a headache and an upset stomach, mentioning that it's going around right now, and he wonders if she shouldn't call in sick to work.
She, of course, jokingly asks what San Francisco would do without her advice column. That will remind you she's been running for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Hey,
and says she's got to go and kisses him.
Now, before we go any further, I want to mention that this is the scene that reminds me why I hate Cole so much and why I put a trigger warning at the top of the episode. Before she leaves, she says that she wants to invite her sisters to dinner. Cole is not too keen on it, saying that they just moved. But Phoebe says she wants to show off the apartment and remind her sisters that they're still a part of her life.
He gives in, as long as there's no orbing, and she's like, oh, that's already been taken care of. He goes to kiss her and then sees the scratch on her shoulder that apparently he didn't notice last night when she didn't have sleeves.
Uh-huh. And, didn't see it through the sheerness of the shirt. No, a la convenience, he has now pulled the shoulder of her shirt down.
Yeah.
He asks what happened. She says she got scratched by a harpy claw. He gets upset that she didn't tell him that she got attacked, but she brushes it off as no big deal. He basically yells at her that it's a big deal to him. She doesn't respond, and then he immediately apologizes and pulls her in for a hug. This is stereotypical abusive behavior. You get angry, you get loud, and then you apologize and placate.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I saw this, and I literally had to pause for 5 minutes and just take a minute, because I was not prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And my brain did bad things.
Yep.
And I am just happy to say that I'm no longer in that relationship.
Mm-hmm. I'm very glad also that you are not in that relationship.
Yeah. Luckily, it was my first and only abusive relationship, and I got out before anything too bad happened because I was able to see it happening.
Yeah.
Luckily. And it was a situation I was able to get myself out of, which
not always the case for everyone.
Is not always the case. And whew, yeah.
Yeah. You were the frog with the thermometer.
Yes. Yes, I saw the water getting hotter and was like, I'm going to get out before that gets too hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Cole says he thinks he deserves to know when his wife gets hurt. She's like, you're right. And then they kiss. And then Julie from off-screen apologizes for interrupting them.
Yeah, she kind of walks in from another room.
Yeah.
Phoebe asks why she's there, as he didn't tell her that she was there. And he's like, oh, we're working from the apartment today because my office is being painted. He asks if she minds in a tone that says that she can't say she does. And so she replies that she doesn't. And then makes a very obvious point of kissing him with audible moans. And Julie just rolls her eyes, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
I love Julie in this moment.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, oh, sweetheart. He's already told me that this isn't going to happen between him and me, so whatever.
Yeah, and then Phoebe grabs her bag and tells Julie to make herself at home as she leaves. Julie's like, yes, I will.
And and again, this is another moment where I love Julie. As soon as Phoebe is safely away in the elevator, she's like, she's a pretty little witch if you're into that sort of thing.
And Cole's just like, I am.
Yeah, and she's just like, okay then. I think out of everyone in this relationship, Julie is my favorite. Cole tells her to get the leader of the Harpies so he can explain the consequences of attacking his wife, and Julie shimmers out.
We then cut to a shot of 2 bats. 2 lovely flying foxes, as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure, hanging upside down in a cave. They might be fake, but they might be real. And if they are real, they're flying foxes.
Sure.
Because those are a type of fruit bat, not a vampire bat. Just FYI.
Okay.
And then it focuses in on a woman in a very skimpy red outfit, lying on some cushions, while other women just pamper the shit out of her.
Yes.
And Keats is standing in front of her.
And at some point, we will find out that this woman is the vampire queen, just not in this scene. Mm-hmm. In this scene, if we hadn't seen the bats, we'd have no idea. The actress is Elizabeth Grayson, and this is, I think, my favorite of all of the people I had to look up for this episode. She was born Elizabeth Ward in Arkansas in 1961. She has 32 acting credits between 1987 and 2018. And some people might remember her as the immortal Amanda on the Highlander TV show that aired from 1993 to 1998, and its spin-off show Highlander the Raven that aired in 1998-99. Mm-hmm. And some fun facts. She won Miss Arkansas in 1981, Miss America in 1982, posed nude for Playboy in 1992, and in 1998 admitted to having a one-night stand with Bill Clinton while he was governor of Arkansas in 1983. I'm going to put a screenshot of the article, the newspaper article that I found.
Yeah, what was the headline on that one? Tryst? I believe it used the word tryst.
Hold please, let me check the Discord, because they get all the good stuff first. Yes, beauty queen apologizes for tryst. Oh, man.
And honestly, she's giving me a little bit of Uma Thurman vibe, and a little bit of vibe of an actress who is in one episode of Firefly. Like the lady in Heart of Gold, the lady who runs like the brothel. Do you remember that lady? Similar haircut.
No, because Heart of Gold is an episode that I only remember a few things from.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was the giant silver house because it was covered in foil.
Yes, I do remember the house, but I don't remember.
Well, she was the one who ran it, and she had the same kind of like
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a lot of the same sort of vibe off of her.
Okay. Hold please 1 second, because I think... Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't mention bats until we see them again, but that's fine. No worries.
Anyway, back to the show.
Yes. Apparently, Keats is trying to get her to wage war on the new source without even speaking to him first.
He says that it'd be a waste of her time to talk, since surely he's heard the stories of what she did and will never bring her back from exile.
She says that she was exiled by a different source in a different time. But he's like, yeah, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't sure that it wasn't going to happen for you. So sorry.
Yeah, and then a male vampire who looks a little bit like Neighbor Dan.
A little bit.
A little bit. He's got the same haircut.
Yeah, just a skosh.
Yeah, and, a nice lantern jaw. He steps up and asks why Keats thinks that working for them is better than working for the source.
Now, we will learn that this guy is named Rowan. So let me tell you about him really quickly, as there's not much to tell. The actor is Sam Bell. I believe he was credited as Samuel Bell in this episode. He was born in West Virginia in 1973, and he's got 45 acting credits starting back in 1997.
Keats tells him to listen better, saying that he doesn't work for anyone, and that they'd be equal partners until the source is dead, and then they'd separate.
And the queen replies that she'll let him know when she's ready. And Keats shimmers out.
And then she immediately turns around and tells Rowan that she wants to offer an olive branch to the new source.
Now, for those not aware, an olive branch is an ancient Greek symbol of peace. According to Greek mythology, Athena competed with Poseidon for possession of Athens. Poseidon thrust his trident into the Acropolis, making a well of seawater appear, and then Athena planted the first olive tree next to the well, and the court of gods and goddesses liked her gift better, so she won. Now, fun fact, it has been debated on whether Athens was named after Athena, or if she took her name from the city, but modern scholars say that the city name came first, which makes sense.
Yes.
If you think about it. I was like, oh good, I get the city. What's it called? Athens? Cool. Call me Athena. Yeah, that'll work.
Well, she did spring fully formed from her dad's head, so...
Yeah.
She got to choose her own name.
Yeah.
Rowan, of course, asks what they do if the source refuses, and she's like, well then Keats will have an ally, and we'll have a new enemy. You know, the way it goes.
Yeah.
So Rowan walks away, and she dismisses the women around her.
Yeah, they get no lines and no credit, but they're all very pretty.
Yes,
and
there's definitely, like,
lots of red.
Some of that Dracula, like, I keep these around because they're pretty and occasionally we fuck kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We jump over
The only one not wearing red is Rowan, actually.
Yeah, the only one not wearing red is
He's only wearing black.
He's in black.
He only ever wears black.
Yeah. We jump over to Piper, doing dishes at the manor. She is in a dark turtleneck and dark jeans, and her hair is pulled back into a ponytail. A couple
with,
of
like, a
wispies hanging out.
Yeah, it's like some kind of cuff elastic.
Yeah. It's a solid hair tie. Like it's
the top of it is. The rest of it looks like it's elastic underneath, which you sometimes see.
Yeah. Leo walks in. He's wearing gray pants and a long sleeve blue shirt that's a mock turtleneck. He's got the sleeves scrunched up like he is wont to do.
And he mentions that there's enough left over. She won't have to cook for a week. And she's like, But I like to cook.
He mentions that having less dishes is a good thing. And Piper mentions that the house is so quiet without Phoebe and Cole. And Leo's like, well, we could make it noisy by having some kids.
Oh, yeah. And he puts his arm around her and she's like, yeah. And they start to kiss. And then Paige walks in and apologizes for interrupting.
Yeah. She is wearing a gray miniskirt with a pink belt, a pink tube top, no bra, and is removing a cardigan sweater. So I couldn't really tell you what the sweater was. It was like kind of brown and yellow, but like she took it off and we never see it again.
Yeah.
Her hair is mostly down with one section held back by a pink barrette.
She apparently is heading for the coffee and, as I said, apologizes for interrupting. But Leo's like, no, I need to get going. Elders want to figure out why there's an upsurge in demonic activity.
Paige, of course, assumes that it has to do with them since said demonic activity spilled into their living room the night before. And this made me wonder if Leo healed the hole in the house. Because there was literally a hole in the front wall of the house. Mm-hmm. I also want to know where that blast went when it left said house. Because it struck a hole through the house.
Well, considering that the blast that then hit the couch didn't go through the wall, it probably dispersed.
I'm hoping so.
It must have.
Yeah, but we don't see the living room again
for as many times
in this episode. So
for as many times as a blast of something obliterates a wall or a window, it never hits the neighboring houses.
This is true, but I love the fact that we don't see the living room again in this episode. So I don't know if the front of the house has been healed.
Yeah,
and I
guess
hope that it has.
I guess demons don't use ranged weapons.
Hey, you know,
like none of them are snipers. They're all, sawed-off shotguns.
Yes.
Wide blast radius, very little effectiveness past a certain distance.
Yeah. Leo says he'll let them know what he finds out. Tells Piper that he loves her. She returns the statement. They kiss and he orbs out.
Paige asks if Piper's okay. She's like, yeah. So Paige is like, yeah, you're a fucking liar.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not Phoebe, you can still talk to me.
And I love the way that she says it. She just listens and goes, liar.
Yeah.
It was great.
Uh-huh. Piper says it's silly, but her period was late by a couple of days, so she got her hopes up. I believe this is the first time anyone has used the word period. Possibly?
Possibly, at least on this show.
Yes.
Paige
might have happened in season 1. Because that's the last time we've had a pregnancy test come up.
Yeah, but I don't remember her saying anything. I know that there was the joke of, are you late? I hope not.
Oh,
or something like that, but I don't think the word period was actually mentioned.
Yeah, probably
not. Paige tells her that it's not silly since she actually wants kids. Piper says they've been trying for 4 months, but who's counting? And Paige reminds her that it's not baking cookies, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, and you can't monitor all of the variables.
Which made me laugh, though, because when you are pregnant, they call it having a bun in the oven. So, there is that baking analogy.
Yes. Except, you literally build it in the oven like a ship in a bottle.
Yeah.
Except the bottle is rubber. Because otherwise you'd have to break the bottle to get the ship out once it's done.
For a second I thought you were talking about condoms and I was confused. I was like, no, but you're trying to not use condoms.
It's stretchy. It's stretchy. It's not a glass bottle, it's a rubber bottle. And then you just kind of stretch...
Silicone,
yes. It's a nice stretchy-ass bottle.
Yes. Anyway,
Piper says she's worried about something going wrong because getting flung around by demons isn't conducive to making babies.
Which was one of my favorite lines. I don't know why, but it was such a nicely written line, and it was delivered very nicely, and it like gave you a visual. Mm-hmm. It was like getting flung around isn't conducive to making babies. Mm-hmm. It was just great. I don't know why. Anyway.
Paige reminds her that Piper saw in the future that she does have kids, and that Paige herself is living proof that magic can happen when witches and whitelighters get together, and tells Piper to stop worrying about it, because then she'll be an ant.
Yes, make me an ant. You'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Piper thanks her. They both smile. And we cut over to Phoebe and Cole's apartment. We see a clawed hand on the table, cut off at the wrist.
Yeah, and Julie, very coyly, talks about how things with the Harpy leader got out of hand, and that she won't be showing up again.
Cole compliments her on the work, asks what's next, and she tells him that Rowan is there to speak on behalf of the Queen. Cole tells her to send him in. Julie then points to each of the blinds, and they close, making the room nice and dark, and then says, he'll see you now, as Rowan just kind of emerges from the corner.
Like the completely shadowed corner.
Yeah, like he had been standing there the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Rowan thanks Cole for the audience, and starts to say what the Queen sent him for, but Cole's like, if she comes in my realm, she'll be begging for banishment, and sits down at the table.
Rowan tries to say that she's learned her lesson and that they are willing to serve him, and Cole's like, no, I already have enough demons betraying me, thanks, but no.
Yeah.
She...
and as he says this, he very pointedly gestures at the Harpy hand, and it, like, kind of flames up, but also kind of glows up.
Yeah, it just kind of disappears in a little burst.
Yeah.
Very, very nicely done. Rowan tries to get him to listen to the offer. Cole tells him it's time for him to be leaving. And then Paige orbs in behind Rowan. Cole immediately sees her. She apologizes and asks if she's interrupting. Cole's like, no, and then points Rowan to the elevator. But he kind of is, because she comes in, she goes, sorry, you just popped in. And Rowan's like, from where?
She goes, the kitchen. Which is not that direction, as far as I know.
No, it was a nice little moment where Rowan played dumb.
Yeah.
Like, from where? Where? What?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
As soon as Rowan's out of the room, Cole asks Paige what the hell she thinks she's doing. This is exactly why I don't want you people orbing in here.
She isn't very fond of the phrase, you people, and he asks what she wants. And we see Rowan standing outside the door, listening into the conversation, and the conversation kind of has that, like, underwater vibe. Because it's being heard through the door.
And the implication is that because...
with his enhanced hearing.
He got vampire ears.
Yeah. It's like, for those of you who play a vampire, he has enhanced senses.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Gotta love the little moments. Anyway.
Paige says that Piper needs to talk to Phoebe. Cole's like, oh, well, just missed her. But you can just orb on into the newspaper office. I'm sure those journalists can keep a secret.
Yeah. Paige tells him to tell Phoebe that she stopped by, and then asks why the room is so dark in the middle of the day.
And Cole's like, migraine.
You're making it worse. She then replies with a bite me, and he chomps his teeth at her.
Which was kind of wasted because she'd already turned away.
Yeah, she'd already turned around, but it made me laugh so hard. It's like, yeah, that's the response. When someone says bite me, you go, hi.
Yeah.
She leaves the room and then goes to stand with Rowan, who's waiting for the elevator, because as he heard her coming, he finally turned around and pushed the button.
Yeah. It dings, the doors open, and he lets her get on the elevator first. Once the elevator doors close and they start going down, he turns to her and sarcastically says, nice guy, in regards to Cole. And she's like, are you a lawyer? He says, no. Why? She's like, only a lawyer would think Cole was nice. And he's like, do I need to explain sarcasm to you?
Yeah, he says that he was being sarcastic, and she's like, about being a lawyer? And he's like, no, about thinking he's a nice guy, which makes Paige laugh.
Yeah.
And this scene was my favorite scene in, like, the entire episode.
Yeah, this is a pretty good scene.
Because it was perfectly timed. Like, the writing was so-so, but, like, the acting of the scene was perfectly timed.
He introduces himself, and they shake hands. She asks how long he's disliked Cole. He replies, since I first met him. Which gets even funnier because he just fucking met him.
Exactly. She laughs. He asks her the same question, and she replies that it's since he married her sister. And then asks if he's got siblings. And he says, oh yeah, my family's real big. Which, again, was just great. She says that he must know that what it's like to bite your tongue, which is an idiom that basically means not saying something that you want to say.
And clearly you can see in his face he finds this particular phrase very funny. But he agrees, and he's like, I'd like to continue the conversation, but we're out of floors.
Yeah, he then asks if they can get together, and she says that her other sister owns a nightclub named P3 and tells him to stop by later.
He says he'll drop in, and she seems happy with that and walks out of the elevator. He doesn't exit, so she's like, and he goes, oh, underground parking. And then slips on some very Matrixy shades.
Yeah,
and the doors close again.
And, like, it made me laugh so hard. Because, again, it was the timing of it. It's like, oh, yeah, no, underground parking. And then sunglasses on. I was just like, see, that's how you do a scene. That literally my favorite scene in the entire episode. It was brilliant.
It was good.
Back in the vampire cave, the queen is getting a sponge bath from some other random lovely vampire lady who was very pretty.
Acolytes, whatever they're called.
Oh, man. Rowan and Keats are both talking to her, and we see her back is completely bare. So she is supposedly nude. Topless. But in a moment, when we have like a moment where like the camera kind of pans in so that
pans
it
around.
Yeah, like it pans around, and one of the other vampire ladies comes in with like a towel.
Yeah.
Just kind of covering where her boobs are for a minute.
Yeah.
And then the scene happens and she takes the towel away and we're just left with like right above her boobs, and then the camera pans back like a skosh, like not so much, like not very much at all, and you can see there's like a bandage covering her boobs. Like you can see what they used to make it look like she was naked, and I laughed so hard because I was like, how did they miss that? Or they should have just made it she was wearing some sort of, just front-facing thing. But it was like they played off that she was naked, and she isn't, and you could tell that she wasn't if you were paying attention.
But it gives her that air of confidence.
Yeah. It was great, but it was just funny because like once you notice it, you're just like, okay, Maybe
I
that's
never
just me.
assume anyone's topless in a TV show.
Oh yeah, no, of course not. But it was just funny that like they left in that little error.
Yeah.
Just enough that, and it wasn't like it was like a flat thing either. It looked like it was ruffled a little. It was like an ace bandage that was like puckered. So like it could have been just, a top, or like I don't know if they made them back then, but they have these like bra cup things that if you were small enough boobed,
yeah,
it was basically just stickers.
Yeah.
They were basically like these like sticker bra cup things that were just enough to cover your boobs, but your back was still open.
Yeah.
It was a thing so that you could wear a backless bra or a backless dress without a bra, but still have your nipples covered.
Yeah.
And have your boobs covered. And perky.
Yes.
I was always too big of a chest for that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Back,
yeah. Rowan is explaining that Paige and Phoebe are part of the Charmed Ones, and the Queen reminds Keats that he said the meeting with the Source would be useless. He reminds her that the Source refused her offer, but she's like, yeah, but we were given something much more valuable.
She goes on to say that getting a Charmed One on their side could help them take over the underworld before the Source can. And Keats says, witches don't change sides on a whim. And Rowan's like, oh, I think I can get her to see things our way. And he asks permission from the Queen, which she gives immediately.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, take whoever you want. And this is when we see the camera pan back just enough to see the bandage on her boobs.
We get an exterior shot of P3.
No now appearing sign, but there's a few people milling about outside.
Paige is standing at the bar when Piper and Leo walk over to her.
Paige has changed her clothes. She is now in bootcut jeans with a belt.
Low riding.
Yeah, with a belt of pastel pink and green, and a light blue cropped halter top that has a green corded loop detail,
and it's
on the front.
It's weird because like the bit that goes around her neck is a different color from the bit that goes down the shirt. It's like a figure 8 halter top thingy using like a little rope.
Yeah, it's like
a silk cord rope.
Yeah. But the loop on the chest, now the entire shirt and the cord around her neck, the halter cord, is a light blue. And then the loop detail on the front is like a neon green.
Yeah. It's
like a really bright green. And I'm just like, this is doing nothing for like aesthetics at all. I don't understand it. But you can also tell that she's wearing no bra because nipples on display.
Yep.
Like, whew. Her hair is partially pulled back into 4 little half ponytails on top.
Yep.
It's like she sectioned off her hair into 4 little spots and just ponytailed it up. And that was
very early
so early aughts that it was painful. Oh, man. Piper is in black pants with a cream tank top that has like a sheer overlay that had like yellow trim. It was hard to see in this scene, but later on you can tell that the trim on that was yellow. And it gives like little small cap sleeves to her top there. And there's also a little bit of sparkle on the front of it. Her hair is down. She's got that little diamond necklace on. Leo is in a light gray t-shirt under a darker gray jacket and black pants. Now, Rowan has failed to show up, at least inside the club. Paige is surprised that she's been stood up, and Piper's just happy that she's not dating anymore.
Yeah. Paige says that she should have known better to think that she could meet a guy through Cole. And Piper's like, hey, broken record.
Yeah.
Cut it out. You'll just end up pushing Phoebe away if you keep this up. And then just then Phoebe walks up to the bar and asks if she still gets free drinks.
Yeah. Piper says that she isn't looking so good, even though she looks the same as always.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe says that she thought she was just getting sick, but now she's worried that it might have something to do with the harpy scratch. Paige jokes that she's turning into a harpy, and then when, nobody
says
anything about it, she goes, wait, could you be? She freaks out a little that her little joke was true.
Yeah, and Phoebe's like, well, Piper did get turned into a Wendigo, or was that a Fury by getting scratched? Trick question, it was the Wendigo.
It was. But Piper quips that it's happened so much she can't keep track. I love that. It was just, she was like, I don't even know anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not a clue.
Yeah. She got turned into Fury via secondhand smoke.
Yes.
Leo tells Phoebe not to worry. She can't get turned into a harpy by getting scratched. And Phoebe's like, well, can you heal it anyway? So Leo just reaches across her to, heal her shoulder. And Piper's like, hey,
dude,
some discretion in public.
And
then she smacks him. And then
he kind of has this look when Piper smacks him. He has this look of yeah, okay, you're right, so sorry.
Yeah, and then Phoebe slaps him in the chest. And he laughs.
Yeah, she walks off and he kind of laughs at that.
And then Paige reaches over and smacks him too.
Because, she doesn't want to be left out. But he looks a little confused by the last hit of why are you hitting me?
The expression to me looked like, oh shit, I'm being ganged up on.
Yeah, but it was just very funny in that moment of okay, yeah, I get it. I understand why my wife did it. Okay, it was funny when her sister did it. Wait, you too? Why? No.
Everyone's against me.
Yeah.
I'm the literal odd man out.
Yes. It was just kind of funny. We do a small time jump to everyone in one of the back rooms. Leo heals Phoebe's arm, and she's like, I'm feeling a little better. And then on the wall behind them, there is a large poster for the Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band. And it is so prominent that I had to look it up, because it's been a while since I've tangented on a random background thing.
True.
So here we go. Kenny Wayne Shepherd was born Kenny Wayne Brobst in June of 1977 in Shreveport, Louisiana. He is an American guitarist, singer, and songwriter, and he has been active in the music scene since 1990, when he was just 13, when blues guitarist Brian Lee brought him on stage to perform. Now, Brian Lee is also known as Braille Blues Daddy, because he's been blind since the age of 8. I will link to him in case you want to learn more about him, because he's also fascinating, let me tell you. But in 1998, Kenny Wayne Shepherd was the opening act for Van Halen. In 1999, he was the opening act for the Rolling Stones. He has also been the opening act for Aerosmith, Bob Dylan, and the Eagles. And in 2000, he played guitar on the end title theme for the animated feature Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, where Will Friedle voices Batman and Mark Hamill voices the Joker. And somebody else voiced Bruce Wayne. I can't remember who now, but I just thought it was interesting that they had two different voices for Batman and Bruce Wayne.
I mean, hey.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, he is married to Hannah Gibson, who is Mel Gibson's oldest daughter. They got married in 2006, and they have 5 children.
Already?
Yeah.
Shit.
5 kids.
Yowza.
Oh boy. I think that's enough tangenting for now.
Piper asks Leo if the elders know anything, and he replies in the negative, and Phoebe asks what's going on and if they should be worried.
Piper tells her that there's more bad guys than usual, but they aren't going to worry about that till after dinner.
She asks Phoebe to come to dinner. She says, why not? But Paige says she's going to leave because she doesn't want Rowan to think that she was waiting for him by still being at the club. Which, how fucking late is it?
That's not the point, but I just love Piper's response was, God forbid, which was just great. And then she asks Leo if he's buying dinner, and Leo's like, are you kidding? And they leave the room. And it was a lovely little moment of we own the place. Why would I buy anything?
Yeah.
Paige stops Phoebe and tells her that she needs to find a moment to talk to Piper. Phoebe asks if something is wrong, and Paige is like, yeah, Piper could use your support on something she's going through.
And then mentions that she orbed over to Phoebe's that morning. And Phoebe immediately gets upset that Paige orbed to the apartment after she asked her not to, and asks if Cole was upset.
Yeah, she immediately, without,
There's no, like,
there's no real
Paige, we
pause.
talked about this.
Yeah,
There's
it was just
no-
immediately, was Cole upset? Paige says he was a little upset and then changed that to a lot. And Phoebe's reply was, great. Just great. In that tone that says that everything is, not great.
Mm-hmm.
And then she walks off. Paige mumbles that she was just trying to help, and she walks off as well. And I legit, in this moment, was mad at Paige.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was annoyed with Phoebe, and I was annoyed with Cole and all of that, but I was mad at Paige. It was like, she literally just told you this morning, no orbing in unless it's an emergency.
Well, technically last night.
Whatever. Within the past 24 hours.
Yes.
You have been told, don't do this. And then you did it. And you're wondering why she's upset with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we time jump to the parking lot, presumably outside P3, as Paige heads for her car. She hears a noise and looks around and then walks quicker, and suddenly a bat flies down and bites her.
Now, I'm not going to tangents on bats, but did you know that the Old English name for them is Flittermaus?
I did, because there is an opera in German called Die Fledermaus.
Yes, because it is still Fledermaus in German, and I think in Swedish it's also
Probably.
some version of that.
Well, English is a Germanic language, so.
Yes, but I would just like to get a slew of tweets that say hashtag Flittermaus for no real reason. Mm-hmm. Just because I want that hashtag to be out there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She falls to the ground, feet from her car,
Mm-hmm.
and then dozens of bats fly down and start attacking her. And it's a very horror movie sort of clip, because you'll get close-ups of these clearly fake bats
Yeah.
with, like, I'm guessing they already had fake blood on their mouths so that when they bite it, like, smears all over her.
Yeah.
And it just looks real B-movie.
A bit, yeah.
And by B-movie, I mean the letter B, not the animal bee.
Yeah.
Because no one's falling in love with a bee. Jerry Seinfeld is not here.
Correct. She screams, the bats fly off, and she is left lying on the ground, and we go to commercial break.
When we come back, there's an exterior shot of a hospital, and then Paige on a hospital bed, and her face is just, covered in fake
all
blood.
sorts of marks, yeah. She's now in a hospital gown, and there's a gauze bandage on her chest, and there's a doctor standing beside her bed. He is played by Shishir Kurup. He was born in 1961 in Bombay, India, and raised in Mombasa, Kenya, and the U.S. And I know that's true because he wrote his own IMDb bio.
Cool.
He has 52 acting credits between 1992 and 2014.
Paige asks the doctor if she's the weirdest case he ever seen. But he's like, I've been on night shift for a while. I've seen some pretty weird shit.
Yeah.
Piper, Phoebe...
I've seen some shit.
Yeah. Piper, Phoebe, and Leo all race into the room, asking if she's okay, what happened.
Piper has added a black leather jacket to her outfit, and Phoebe has added a denim jacket to hers.
Yeah.
Paige tells them that it was bats. Lots of bats.
And the doctor's like, are you the sisters? And Phoebe's like, yeah. She gonna be okay? And he's like, oh, she might have bled to death if someone hadn't found her in time. Which, that many tiny bites?
Uh-huh.
Unlikely.
Unlikely, but they were also probably draining her. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. And Paige just needs some rest and rabies shots, which Paige replies with, ouch.
Now, I'm not going to go on a long tangent about rabies, but as much as rabies vaccine shots hurt, it is better than dying from rabies. Because once the symptoms start, it's usually too late.
Uh-huh.
So if you ever get bitten by any sort of animal that you are not aware if they have had their rabies vaccine, go get a rabies shot.
Yep.
Because better safe than sorry.
Uh-huh.
In that very moment.
Piper is worried about bats outside her club, wondering if that's not a natural thing. And the doctor's like, bat bites are completely unheard of. A friend of mine treated one just a couple of months back. And Paige is like, yeah, one.
Yeah, these were multiple bats.
Yeah.
And then the doctor's pager goes off, and it was quite a loud beep.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very stereotypical, like, this is a doctor's pager, rah, 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 rah. Like, it was very loud beep.
I am important. It is the night shift.
Yeah. His pager goes off, he excuses himself, and leaves. And Leo says that it sounds more natural than supernatural, but Paige immediately thinks it's vampires. Why? Who knows?
Bats biting?
Right, but, like...
No, like...
That is her only thought there. Like Like, there's not, well, maybe, like, I was thinking because it was bats, maybe it was, no, she just immediately was like, vampires. It's totally vampires.
I mean, that would have, even if I'd seen nothing else of this episode, if I'd never seen this or whatever, I'd be like, oh, someone got attacked in a dark parking lot by a swarm of bats that bit her and then left. Yeah, that's vampires.
Yeah, just a skosh.
If any, I mean, even if it's not vampires, it's vampire bats.
Yeah.
Phoebe says that it can't be vampires. They only attack in human form, and not as a swarm of bats.
Leo says that vampires have been ostracized from the underworld for centuries, and that he thinks they're part of a whole different network now, which is the best inside joke reference ever. It is a jab / just reference to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who moved from the WB to UPN in 2001. And in case you aren't aware, Charmed aired on the WB. Because I believe they were either back to back or...
I don't know.
Because I think they both aired on Tuesdays.
Possibly.
Because there was a line in Buffy like, oh, Dawn's in trouble, must be Tuesday. That sort of thing. But it was a lovely inside joke that if you didn't know, would just kind of be like, okay, whatever. But if you do know, you're just like, that's funny.
Yep.
It was great. Anyway, the doctor, who hasn't been gone that long, walks back in with a nurse who gets no credit on IMDb unless she's the Orlin that we don't know.
I don't think so.
Except I don't think so because he calls her Lisa.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
She's there to draw some blood from Paige to do some tests. And Paige is like, oh, can I go home after? And the doctor's like, yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put you on antibiotics and schedule the first of your rabies shots for the morning. Because rabies shots come in stages.
Yes, they do. Which is why they're also so painful. It's
Yeah.
because it's not just one and done. It's like a bunch.
Yeah.
He leaves. The nurse gets out a needle and starts to draw Paige's blood. Phoebe starts to look a little unwell. Leo asks if she's okay. Paige says she's fine as long as her eyes are closed because her eyes were closed and didn't realize Leo wasn't talking to her.
Mm-hmm. And before Leo can correct her, Phoebe falls
faints.
in a dead faint.
Yeah. Now, I have to ask, because we've dealt with this before. Why are they all of a sudden fine with blood being drawn? Did they forget about all of the issues back in season 2?
They probably had to do it so much since then it's become routine. Quotidian, I dare say.
I just... like... It's not even mentioned of, like, any sort of anything of, did the elders put a spell on their blood so that all of the magic stuff can't be told, or it only shows up if they're looking for abnormalities.
Oh, you mean that? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
because
I
remember
think
season 2, their whole witchy powers is in their blood.
Yes, but this is not for research, and at any rate... the dude could never detect magic in the blood. So science is never going to find magic. He only found out that it contained magical powers when he put it in some fucking chimps. Which this guy's not going to do. This is just a routine doctor. Hey, she's got rabies. We just want to make sure there aren't any other diseases we know how to detect in there.
That's, like I said, that's my only thought is because the first time this happened is...
he has no ulterior motive.
He was looking into it because she went from being sick with a deadly disease to being instantly cured.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, what in her blood made that happen?
Yeah.
And so I kind of get it. But it was just like, did they learn nothing? What is happening right now?
Well, also, the immediate concern is rabies.
Yes.
Which you do definitely need to test for. Like... I mean, obviously you're going to give her rabies shots anyway, but, like, if they were carrying something else, you would want to test for that.
Yeah.
So, like, they know it needs to happen, and clearly he has no ulterior motive, so why the fuck not?
Yeah, it was just funny for me to, like, have them not mention anything about what they went through with blood,
Oh, I don't deny that they've probably forgotten.
Yeah.
At this point. But it's also not gonna come up because of the situation.
This is very true. Anyway.
Back to Phoebe and Cole's apartment, where Cole is pacing and wondering where Phoebe is.
Julie asks about the Grimlocks. Cole says if the Grimlocks attacked her, he'll crush their skulls with his bare hands. And I just wanted to be known that my transcript had written down bare hands as B-E-A-R instead of B-A-R-E. And I laughed for a good solid 3 minutes of the thought of Cole with bare hands.
We know he can shapeshift.
Roar. And then I had the image of a bear with an Australian accent and I lost it again. It was great.
Or that one comic where a bear comes up to a dude at a gay bar and he's like, hey, is it bear night? And the dude's like, this is a gay bar. And then another bear walks up with like a tie. And he's like, yeah, I'm here with my partner. And it's like, oh, you're gay? I'm clearly wearing a tie.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, man. Anyway. Julie responds, who said romance was dead? And then reminds Cole that they were talking about who they can trust.
He says like, the Grimlocks are okay, and that Keats is the only one he doesn't really trust.
The phone then rings. He excitedly thinks it will be Phoebe, and Julie has the best line read. He goes, oh, that should be Phoebe. And she goes, we can only hope. Seriously, I love Julie. She's great.
Cole answers the phone, and it is Phoebe, who's in the backseat of Piper's car with Paige. Leo is driving, and Piper is in the front passenger seat.
And we will cut back and forth a little bit during this conversation.
Cole asks if she's okay. She didn't pick up her phone. She's like, yeah, I was unconscious.
Yeah, a little bit of unconsciousness. No big deal.
And then he's immediately like, 0 to 60, did a demon hurt you? And she's like, no, I just fainted. And then he stops and he's like, You what? You fainted?
Yeah. An oncoming car's lights shine into the window and Paige flinches and says something about people keeping their high beams on, and Piper kind of gives her a little look of like, you're acting weird. But she doesn't like do anything else with it. It was just a little small look.
Mm-hmm. Cole tells Phoebe that people don't faint for no reason, and she mentions she's been run down and the doctor thinks she might be anemic, so he took some blood.
So once again, the blood taking, just saying.
Yeah. Cole jumps in to say that she should get Leo to look at that heartbeat scratch, and she's like, already taken care of.
And then she mentions that Paige was bitten by bats, and this gets his attention.
Yeah.
She says that Leo is going to heal Paige when they get home and asks if he'll meet them there. And he's like, I'm already home? You called me? And she apologizes and says that she meant the manor. He says he's on his way and hangs up. And again, this little moment was like the fact that she apologized for saying home, meaning the manor, as opposed to her apartment. It's like, you've been out of that house for like a week.
Like 2.
At the most. Like, I'm sorry. I had been living in my apartment in Hoffman Estates for 3 years. There were fireworks that happened outside that I was not aware of. They were apparently some sort of like celebration something or other, and fireworks were going off, but it sounded like shotgun blasts.
Mm-hmm.
It woke me out of a dead sleep because I was working weird hours, and it was like 10 o'clock at night and I was already asleep. And I thought it was like shotgun blasts. I called the cops because, I was hearing what I thought was shotgun blasts. And then as I'm talking to the cops, they're like, okay, where you live, whatever. And I gave them an address for the place I lived in Palatine. That I hadn't been at in 3 years.
Yeah. I occasionally, when someone asks what my zip code is, I slip and I don't even use the Midlothian one. I use like my hometown.
Yeah,
zip
exactly.
Code.
She's been out of the house she grew up in.
Yeah.
Has lived in for the past few years. For like, at the absolute most, 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to slip and say home. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Sorry, this episode is just a little...
Mm-hmm. I know.
Whew. Okay, sorry. Back to the episode.
He says that he's on his way and hangs up. And Julie asks if he thinks it's Rowan. And Cole's like, yeah, he must have been trying to turn Paige. So Julie's like, they'll be too powerful if they get a charm on the other side. And he yells at her that he already knows that. And tells her to gather the faction leaders.
He says that the queen will get the war she wants, and he heads for the door. She asks where he's going, and he says he's going to the manor to help save Paige. And, like, the way he does it, he has this, like, pause, and then, like, spits her name out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was just, like...
It was a good line delivery, for sure.
Very
like,
good
a very
line delivery.
frustrated line delivery. He's like, I gotta do this shit again.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it, I have to save my fucking sister-in-law. But it was... Again, it was just one of those where it's like, this entire episode for me has just been a little bit much.
Mm-hmm. In the attic of the manor, Piper is looking through the Book of Shadows as Phoebe is sitting and spinning on a stool next to her, and Leo is healing Paige in the background.
And she is sitting away from the camera, so that they don't have to put the stuff on her and like magic it off. It can just already be off as he's healing her. And it's also kind of funny because he does like this thing where he starts on one side of her body and then kind of moves to the other side of her body, and it was very funny. It was just like, okay, got that side. Let's finish up on this side.
Yeah.
Make sure you're healed all over.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a back and forth between Piper and Phoebe where they're going through options of monsters in the book that it could be. So Piper's like, Manticore?
Phoebe says that bites but doesn't fly.
Piper mentions the Phoenix.
Which Phoebe says flies but doesn't bite.
And then Piper flips and sees the chupacabra and slaps the book. And Phoebe's like,
bless you.
Yeah. And then says it flies and bites, but only attacks livestock.
Leo, who has now finished healing Paige, asks about shapeshifters, but Paige is like, this is all a waste of time.
She says she's fine, and Piper tells her that she can go to bed and they'll wake her if they find something. So Paige agrees and leaves the attic.
Phoebe asks Leo if he's able to narrow down the suspects, but he says that having every demonic faction in town makes it kind of hard.
Phoebe jokingly asks if there's a demon convention in San Francisco, and Piper replies, yeah, there's an electoral college. They've called a meeting, and they're voting in a new source. And then everyone pauses.
No. Phoebe
and Leo laugh.
And then they stop the laugh when they realize that Piper is serious.
Yeah.
And Phoebe's like, do you think that's true?
And Piper's like, yeah, everything but the voting.
Yeah. It's like, someone pretty powerful has got to be bringing all these factions together. Which makes Leo say that evil may have a new leader.
As if on cue, then, Cole walks in.
Yep. Phoebe races over and hugs him, telling him that she'll be fine.
Cole asks about Paige, and Leo's like, I healed her, she's sleeping. And Cole's like, are you sure? Which Leo questions, and Piper's like, you know what we're up against? And he's like, biting bats can only be vampires.
Phoebe says that they ruled them out because it doesn't seem like their MO. And Cole's like, have you ever seen a vampire? And she's like, no, but I've read about them.
And then Cole has my favorite line of the episode.
You can trust Anne Rice or you can trust me.
It was so good.
It was great. And Anne Rice is, of course, best known for her Vampire Chronicles series focusing on the vampire Lestat. Now, 2 of her books have been turned into movies. Interview with the Vampire in 1994, where I fell in love with Brad Pitt with long hair and fangs. Whew, boy. That's the only time that I ever think Brad Pitt is attractive. Long hair and fangs. Like, I've seen him in Legends of the Fall with just the long hair. Doesn't work for me. It's the fangs that does it. Mm-hmm. Just saying. And Queen of the Damned
also, I will say,
was in 2002.
Will say, that's the only time I've really ever found Tom Cruise to be remotely attractive.
Yeah.
Is when he's doing that particular kind of evil. Like a flamboyant evil. Just lightly dusted with flamboyance. I'm just like, okay, I see it.
Yeah,
Any other time, I'm just like, no.
Not so much. But
it's the Scientology otherwise.
Well, there is that. But I liked Tom Cruise as Lestat until Queen of the Damned came out in 2002. And then I was like, nope, this is the Lestat that I am in love with. Oh, wait, there's Aaliyah. Oh, God damn it, I'm not straight.
That was a fun movie.
Yeah, poor Aaliyah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still sad about that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tangent on Aaliyah because I will start to cry. But I'm going to go back to tangenting onto Anne Rice because, side note, I love her birth name. She was born in New Orleans in 1941 as Howard Ellen Frances O'Brien. She says that her mother named her Howard because she thought it would be an interesting thing to name a daughter after her father.
As if women don't have their names taken away from them already enough.
Yeah, well, the name Anne came when she was first entering Catholic school, and a nun asked her name, and little Howard said that her name was Anne, and her mother didn't correct her. So her name was legally changed to Anne in 1947 when she was 6 years old. But when she was 12, she was confirmed by the Catholic Church and took the full name of Howard Allen Francis Alphonsus Liggery O'Brien. She's basically adding in the names of a saint and one of her aunts who happened to be a nun. I could probably tangent on Anne Rice for hours, so I'd better stop here because, like, her life is just fascinating. Her son is also a writer, and I have met him. He is a very lovely man.
Also, isn't she the one who told editors they had to stop editing her books because how she, like, churned them out was how they were meant to be, or some shit?
I'm not positive on that, but it sounds right.
Like, don't change anything I have written because this is exactly how it's meant to be, which meant that no one could copy edit.
Yes, well.
Which meant the quality decreased. But because she was such a cash cow,
yeah,
they were willing to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing
is she one of those ones who's also against fan fiction? I feel like she is. I feel like I heard that somewhere.
I don't know. That I'm not positive of. But I think it was very, very interesting, though. Her son was born in, like, 1978, I want to say. Her son, Christopher. Mm-hmm. And she and her husband were both very much alcoholics when he was born. And she basically was like, I don't want my kid to grow up with the same shit that I grew up with. And she and her husband both stopped drinking.
That's nice.
And, like, that's when it was just
Hopefully she also wasn't drinking during the pregnancy.
Well, that I don't know. But it was one of those where it was like, I have a kid now.
Yeah, I feel like if her son, like, is, you know, developmentally fairly average, probably she wasn't drinking during the pregnancy because otherwise you'd have fetal alcohol syndrome.
Well, I mean, depending on a lot of factors. But yeah, no, it was very interesting to learn that she was basically very much an alcoholic. But that also stems partially from, in, I want to say 1973, she lost a baby.
Oh.
And that's actually where Interview with the Vampire comes from.
Oh, okay.
Because she had a dream about that whole thing and it just turned into Interview with the Vampire. And so it's just, her, like I said, her life is just...
What is with vampire novels coming from dreams? Her and Stephanie Meyer.
Well, no. Stephanie Meyer had a dream
about that clearing
that turned into a book because she was dreaming about vampires. Anne Rice had a dream about her daughter dying that she then channeled all of her emotion into a book about vampires. She wasn't dreaming about the vampires.
That's fair.
Just, yeah. Anyway,
let's stop tangenting on that now.
Yes.
Leo questions how Cole, as a demon, worked with vampires, because they were pariahs in the underworld. But Cole's like, I wasn't picky. I didn't care that the source had banished them for selling him out to his enemies.
Leo asks why they would attack a charmed one, and Cole's like, well, there must be a power struggle, and they're trying to overtake the underworld.
Phoebe wonders why Killing Paige would do that, and Cole's like, no, they're trying to turn her into a vampire. Duh.
Yeah, Piper then is like, Paige? And they all go trucking to Paige's room.
It's dark. They turn on the light. She's not in the bed. And then we pan up and back.
And Phoebe is the first to turn around.
We see Paige hanging from the ceiling of her room.
Phoebe yells. Paige turns into a bat and flies out the window.
Which, you know, you could only hide by doing that in a terribly high-ceilinged room, which is why having a Victorian house is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Also, being on a set.
Yeah.
Yeah, she flies out the fucking window, which was already open.
Yeah. So we go to commercial break. When we come back, we get an exterior shot of the manor panning up from the lawn. And in the attic, Phoebe tips some stuff out of a box next to the Book of Shadows, saying that she ransacked the house and this was all she could find. And it looks like a bunch of garlic bulbs, a cross, and a wooden stake that looks like a piece of fencing.
Yep. Piper asks about the holy water, and Leo's like, oh, I can get some of that. Cole reminds them that this stuff will help them fight off the vampires, but it's not going to change Paige back. Piper says she's working on that.
And that the book says that killing the vampire queen kills all of her little vampires.
And Cole really perks up about that.
He's like, they don't spread that info around, do they? But Phoebe is like, yeah, that's not going to work because it would, kill Paige too.
And Piper says that as long as Paige hasn't bitten anyone, she's not actually a vampire.
Which makes me very interested in the fact that she can turn into a bat, but she's not an actual vampire yet.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there has to be a method of reversal for this because nothing can be permanent.
I just think,
and also it's the same as in Supernatural, I believe.
Yeah, but it's just one of those where it's like, I enjoy the lore that they are creating with this. Of like, after you have to, after you've been bitten by a vampire bat or multiple vampire bats, you then have to bite somebody else, and then you're an actual vampire. But even before you're a real vampire, you get the fangs and the ability to turn into a bat.
Well, you have to get the fangs to be able to bite people.
I just think it's interesting.
True.
Anyway, Phoebe says that they need to kill the queen fast and asks how to vanquish her.
And Piper just deadpans power of 3.
Phoebe wonders why nothing can be easy, and then Piper lets her know that vampires are immune to witchy powers.
Leo says that he'll get the holy water after he lets the elders know about the new source and orbs out. And Cole's like, new source? What?
Phoebe says they think there's a new source. He asks if they know who it is. She says, no, not yet. And he visibly relaxes, and she doesn't notice it.
She doesn't question why. Who is it is the first question out of his mouth.
Uh-huh. Yep. There is that. Piper says they need to focus on finding Paige and asks Phoebe where she would be if she were undead. And Phoebe immediately says, cemetery. Piper says they don't have a lot of time, but they have a lot of cemeteries.
Yep.
Which I thought was funny. I don't know why, but it just made me laugh.
Cole tells Phoebe that he doesn't want her to go. She might faint again in the middle of a vampire attack. She's like, that won't happen. He's like, you can't be sure.
I don't want to lose you.
And she's like, I don't want to lose Paige. What's with the attitude shift?
Yeah, you were just telling us that we needed to save Paige. And he's like, yeah, well, that was before I knew all the details. Because, you said you need the power of 3. I don't think she'll be in a rhyming mood.
I feel like that's a line that's been used before.
Possibly. Anyway, Piper asks if he's saying that they should let Paige spend eternity as a vampire. Phoebe tells him that Paige is her sister, and that doesn't change just because she's sick or because she's his wife.
And then Phoebe leaves with the stake and the cross. Piper grabs some of the garlic and follows her. And Cole flames out as soon as they're out of sight.
And this makes me wonder why he is being stupid. Because if for any reason Piper goes back to grab more garlic, or Phoebe runs back and is like, oh, I didn't grab any garlic, he's gone. And they didn't see him walk out. At least leave the fucking manor.
Yeah. Walk out the front door.
Mm-hmm. Walk out the front door. Get into your car. Do something. Like, just at least be out of their sight instead of, being in the attic. And then, because think about it too. Like, he's in the attic. They're going off on whatever. They get downstairs. If they call for him, be like, hey, Cole, are you going to leave? Because we have to lock the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not fucking there.
They never lock the door.
I know they don't anymore, but that's not the point. I'm just saying. It's like, he's taking a big risk.
Yes.
For stupid reason.
Yep. Anyway, Cole flames into his apartment where that big-ass table is there again, and all the faction leaders are standing around the table in the same spots as earlier, minus the harpy.
Yep.
Whose seat is empty.
He tells them the vampires are trying to convert his wife's sister, who happens to be a charmed one, and he's interpreting that as an act of war against him.
And slimy little Keats over there tells him not to overreact.
It might just be a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Cole says that he wants every last vampire exterminated.
The Grimlock's like, they multiply too fast. And Cole's like, well, fun fact, killing the queen kills them all.
Keats then pipes up and says, I've never heard that. What's your source? And I thought it was hilariously funny.
Yeah.
Because just that little thing.
I'm the fucking source, bitch.
Yeah. Cole asks if Keats is questioning his orders, and fire shows in his eyes. Keats replies, no, of course not. And then Cole's eyes go black before returning to normal.
Cole tells everyone to dispatch their forces to find the queen and torture any vampire they see, but that no one is to lay a claw on his wife. Everyone but Keats replies, As you wish.
Which it was a lovely little, it was one of those where it was a nod to Princess Bride, but it wasn't like a big thing.
Yeah.
They all leave via whatever magical means they use, except for Keats.
And this is what makes me think that earlier exit was orchestrated by him, because this was much more like, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keats stays behind just long enough to stare at Cole one more time, and Cole stares back, and then Keats shimmers out.
Julie asks about Paige, and if he's going to let her die, as it would eliminate the charmed ones.
And he, like, sits for a moment, and he's like, Phoebe would be devastated.
And then he leans forward.
And then he sits with another beat for a moment, and he goes, but I wouldn't be. And Julie just gets this little smile on her face. Like, okay, good, you actually are the source.
Yeah.
Maybe this is going to be okay.
Yeah. Down in said vampire cave.
Really?
Yes, I wanted to do that.
Sure, I'll leave it.
The queen is wearing a black robe with some lovely satiny red trim. She's just finished snacking on a screwing man who clearly doesn't taste that good.
Yeah.
And Rowan apologizes for interrupting. She's like, it's fine, I've had better.
Yeah.
And then Paige has arrived. So Paige walks in. The queen is like, oh, she'll fit right fucking in.
Yeah, she asks if Paige is hungry. Paige replies she's famished. And then a few of the female vampires come over and place some pieces of red fabric over her.
Vampire wives. That was the thing. Like in Dracula, I think he called them his vampire wives or some shit.
Okay. The queen tells Paige that she has 2 savory victims in mind, and tells Paige to go back to her sisters and taste of her own blood.
Apparently, doing this will not only seal her conversion, but turn her sisters as well. And Rowan's like, oh,
genius.
This is genius. This is great. We'll get the entire power of Thor on our side. And Paige is like, my sisters are very powerful.
They won't join us willingly.
I can't do it alone. And the queen's like, look around, sweetheart. This is what families are for.
Paige then smiles and bows to her, dropping the pieces of red cloth that the others had placed upon her. We cut to an exterior shot of some random warehouse building, and then head inside to see Keats and a male vampire. This vampire is played by Michael Dvorak. He was born in Los Angeles, California in 1971. He has 27 acting credits starting back in 1994. Now, according to the trivia section on his IMDb, which he wrote himself, the baby shower that his mother had while pregnant with him was thrown by Barbie Benton, who was a longtime girlfriend to Hugh Hefner, and it took place at the Playboy Mansion. Now, my favorite little trivia thing about Barbie Benton, when she was 18, she dated Hugh Hefner from 1969 to 1976. And he was 42 at the time. And somebody asked her what it was like to date him, and she goes, I don't know, I've never dated anyone over 24 before. To which Hugh Hefner replied, that's all right, neither have I. Now, but the funniest part about that is she was 24 when they stopped dating.
I don't know if I'd call that funny, exactly.
I do think it's funny.
I think that's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I mean, yeah, but it's kind of like, in that moment, it's like you kind of know that if you're dating Hugh Hefner, you're only going to have to deal with him for a few years.
True.
Because as soon as you turn 24, you're too old for him.
Ugh.
And it kind of reminded me of that, was it Fast Times at Ridgemont High? With the line of like, I like high school girls. I get older, they stay the same age. That's kind of how it reminded me of Hugh Hefner of like, I've never dated anyone over 24. Anyway, my second favorite trivia thing is that Barbie Benton was actually the one who discovered the building that would become the Playboy Mansion and convinced Hugh Hefner to buy it in 1974.
Damn.
Her life is, again, fascinating. There are so many fascinating people.
How this started off on the actor, and you instead tangented on someone very,
very different,
loosely related to his life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, because he wasn't that interesting.
That's fair.
Anyway,
the vampire asks Keats why he's there, and Keats is like, I have a message for the queen. The vampire's like, what? Go tell her your fucking self.
And Keats is like, I would, but somebody, might be following me. And then he starts to say that the queen needs to leave town fast because the source is...
And then we hear Cole pipe up in the background. The source is what? And when he walks up behind Keats. The vampire turns into a bat, tries to fly away, but gets hit by a fireball.
Yeah, and I love the way that Cole throws the fireball. Is he throws it just past Keats' head.
Yeah.
So it's like
kind of underhanded too.
Yeah, it's like I could have hit you with this if I'd wanted to.
Yeah. The bat is incinerated, and then Cole asks Keats where the queen is. So Keats throws a pink electricity ball at Cole, and Cole just
catches it
in his hand, and then when it puffs out in smoke, he looks at it and he looks at his hand and he goes, "Ouch!"
Yeah, he in this total ooh, that tickled kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Keats says Cole can vanquish him if he wants, but he's not saying anything.
Cole asks,
"Oh, you sweet summer child."
Yeah. Cole asks if he thinks that vanquishing is the worst thing he can do.
There, as Rizzo would say, there are worse things I can do.
Yeah. There are worse things than death, my dear. On this or any other world. He waves his hand. Keats is engulfed in flames.
And it looked a little bit like overalls.
It kind of looked like a little bit of a cage of flame.
Yeah.
Keats starts screaming, and then Cole waves his hand again, and the flames disappear.
And the way he waved his hand was interesting, because it was like a conductor, controlling volume.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, he puts his hand up, flames go up, and then he, kind of guillotines his hand down, and the flames go out.
Yeah. He's like, let's try this again. Where is the vampire queen?
We then jump over to the manor, looking down to the main floor from the top of the stairs.
It's a view I don't think we've had before.
I feel like we have.
This slight rack focus from the top of the stairs down to the foyer.
Pretty sure we have, but
I don't remember it.
It changes every time.
Yeah.
It might just be a slightly different angle, but we've definitely had this type of a shot a lot.
Yeah, this type, but I think it's a different angle for sure.
Rowan wanders into frame from the dining room as Paige comes into frame at the top of the stairs. It looks like they've taken that red fabric they draped her in earlier and made her a lovely booby halter top.
Yeah, it is just enough fabric to cover and hold up her boobs.
Mm-hmm. So it is its own bra.
Well, yes, but nipples still on display.
Well, yes.
And a skirt, but the skirt actually looks like it was crafted.
Yes. And it's a very...
Because it's got a slit in the front.
Well, it's not exactly slit. It's more of a high-low.
Yeah, it's kind of like a V-shaped slit.
It's very Carmen.
Yeah, little Carmen Miranda.
No.
Carmen Sandiego.
No.
Carmen. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. My brain went to the bowl of fruit. Oh.
No.
Okay, sorry. Whew.
Bizet Carmen.
Yes. Sorry. Anyway. Whew. Her hair is no longer in the little ponytails, and it's just lightly curled at the bottom.
She walks down the stairs, sad that her sisters aren't there because she was hoping to get this over with. And Rowan's like, "Girl, relax. You're only an innocent once."
Yeah, you're only innocent once. I'm sorry, what now?
Yeah. And she does that, teenage whiny thing where she's like, "But I'm starving."
He smiles at her, saying he was thinking of his first time, and she asks him about it. He says that there's nothing like the danger, excitement, and the warm glow you feel afterward.
Are we still talking about sucking blood?
Apparently so. She asks how many he's had, but he's like, I don't keep track. The faces fade. It's the taste that remains.
Okay, great. So we're talking about oral.
She mostly jokingly asks if she was just fast food, and he's like, no.
Anything but.
Yeah. He then tells her to relax and clear her mind, saying that she's a hunter and has the ability to find her prey.
She doesn't really understand at first, and he's like, "You will," and tells her to close her eyes and focus. She closes her eyes, and within three seconds, she knows where her sisters are.
Yeah. He calls her a natural, and she tells him to tell the queen to expect company, and then she saunters off.
Yeah.
And, he kind of just stares at her going of, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Kind of in that, this is not going to end well.
No. We cut over to a cemetery where Michael Bailey Smith is running through it, and we hear Phoebe and Piper calling after him. He stops, turns around, and waits for them to come around the corner before shimmering out.
Yeah, as Piper is yelling, "We just want to talk to you!" Piper has the garlic around her neck, and Phoebe is holding the cross. We do not see the stake anywhere.
Nope.
Just putting that out there. The stake is no longer in either of their hands.
Yeah. Piper says that this is the fourth demon that night to run away from them. And Phoebe's like, yeah, word might have gotten out that we killed the source. But Piper's like, yeah, but we haven't found any vampires. And we've been in a lot of cemeteries already.
Phoebe then stops and kind of leans a little bit against a headstone, holding her stomach. Piper asks if she's okay, and Phoebe says that she's a little dizzy. And she's like, those headstones aren't actually moving, are they?
Piper tells her, that's not funny. And then wonders if Phoebe might be pregnant.
Phoebe laughs.
She's like, I'm not pregnant.
She says that, it's funny. It's not really funny. She got a pregnancy test from the store, and it came out negative, thankfully.
Pregnancy test.
Piper says that her pregnancy test was negative, too.
She was pregnant.
Jesus Christ.
I can never get that video out of my head. There's a great video on YouTube of someone reading all of the, I think it's Yahoo Answers questions of can I be pregnant, but they've all misspelled pregnant.
Yeah, pregnant.
Yes. My favorite is pregnant.
Yeah. It just amazes me the ways that people misspell things. Anyway.
It just gets really funny when you try to pronounce them.
Yes.
Because everyone knows what they mean. Even the guy who said, or person who said pregnant.
Yes. Anyway. Piper says that her pregnancy test was negative too, and she has a small sadness on her face.
And Phoebe says she's sorry. Piper tries to say that it's not a big deal, but Phoebe's like, yeah, you actually want kids.
Yeah, it is a big deal to you. And then she asks if that's what Piper wanted to talk about. Piper says it's okay that Phoebe didn't know, but Phoebe's like, no, it's not okay. I left the manor, not the family. I still want to be a part of your life. And this is my favorite sister moment, cute little sister moment. Piper goes, you sure? And Phoebe's like, get over here, and gives her a hug. And it was the cutest little moment of like, come here, I'm gonna hug you now.
And then a bat flies towards them. It lands on a tombstone and turns into Paige.
She asks if she can get in on the hug.
Piper, or actually, it turns into Paige as it's about to land.
As it's landing, yeah. She asks if she can get into the hug. Piper asks how she found them. Paige then jumps off the tombstone and is like, we share the same blood. I sniffed you out. It was a little creepy.
Yeah, a little bit. Piper asks Paige to go back to the manor so they can find something to change her back. Paige goes, nah, and then pushes Piper, making her fly into a tombstone nearby.
Phoebe holds up the cross. Paige kicks the cross out of Phoebe's hand, kind of like a roundhouse kick.
Yeah.
And they start fighting. And after a few rounds of fighting, Paige finally kicks Phoebe in the stomach, sending her flying backwards, and she lands in the dirt.
Paige leans over her, saying it's time they really bond as sisters, which just shows you a dude wrote that line.
Uh-huh.
And shows off her fangs. Just then, Leo orbs in.
And Paige refrains just long enough for Leo to squirt her with holy water, because she absolutely could have bitten Phoebe at any time between the ending of the sentence and getting squirted with holy water.
Mm-hmm.
She screams, she runs away, and Leo helps Phoebe up, and Piper gets herself up. And Piper yells at Paige that they're just trying to help, which makes Paige stop. And she's like, catch me if you can. And then she turns into a bat and flies away.
The girls huddle together with Leo, who orbs them out, presumably in the direction of wherever it was Paige was going. We cut to the vampire cave, where Leo orbs in with Piper and Phoebe. It is very dark. And Piper turns on the flashlight, and she points it toward the ceiling, where we see at least a dozen CGI bats just hanging out.
Yep.
As you do.
Leo goes, okay, but which one is Paige? And Piper replies, how should I know? Which was just great.
Yeah.
Because my first thought was none of those are going to be Paige. And then, lo and behold, the Queen, Rowan, and Paige walk in.
The Queen lights the torches on the wall as they all enter and welcomes them to the family. And then we go to commercial break.
We come back about where we left off. Phoebe is holding out the cross as they walk closer. We never saw her pick up the cross that was kicked out of her hand. Just saying.
Yep. And Piper is pointing the flashlight in the direction of the vampires.
Oh, and she lost the garlic somewhere in
yeah.
the cemetery.
Yeah.
So she doesn't have that either. The light seems to bother Paige the most, but they all kind of
I think
back
it's
up.
just because it's more pointed at her face, because she's shorter than the queen.
Yeah, but like all of them get hit with the light, and only Paige reacts to the light.
She's new.
So, you know, maybe the light bothers you a little more when you're not yet a vampire.
Well, also, it could just be the instinctual of light means sunlight, and therefore we should avoid that. But, like, the Queen and Rowan have been around long enough to know flashlight can't hurt.
Yeah. Anyway, Piper tells them to stay away or, quote, get an eye full of holy water and a chest full of wood, unquote. I don't know why I enjoyed that line so much.
Mm-hmm. The Queen says they be delaying the inevitable and asks if they can do this without a fight.
Phoebe tries to get through to Paige, reminding her that they're sisters and she's not a vampire yet.
The Queen's like, girl, I'm offering all of y'all immortal life. We could have an eternity together as sisters. Isn't that not preferable to death? And Piper's like, false dichotomy.
This is my, again, another, like, favorite cute sister moment. Piper asks if those are her only choices, as she'd rather the Queen die and they stay human. And then Phoebe just smacks Piper on the arm with the cross. It set me in a fit of giggles.
Yeah.
Like, I had to pause and back up because I missed the next 3 minutes of the joke because I was just laughing so hard at that little moment. I don't know why, it just caught me funny. Mm-hmm. It was great.
The Queen says that they haven't killed her because they can't. And Leo's like, we need to leave. But Phoebe's like, no, we're not leaving without Paige.
Rowan says that they'll never understand words. The Queen says that they will, and she kind of nods her head toward the ceiling. And then the bats on the roof start flying towards Piper and Phoebe and Leo and start to attack them.
And Leo, of course, starts squirting the holy water at them, and you see a little bit of, like, sizzly smoke happening.
Phoebe's cross and Piper's flashlight each get thrown in separate corners of the room. Leo tries to grab at the girls so that he can orb them out, but Rowan gets to him first.
His holy water gets thrown out of his hand.
Yeah, that too. Rowan gets to him first and throws him across the room.
Paige goes over and pins Piper to the wall and tries to bite her. Phoebe, of course, kicks Rowan, but he grabs her leg and she falls to the ground and he tries to bite her. And then suddenly, all of the bats individually start going up in flame. Like, someone's throwing fireballs through the front door.
Yeah. We don't see who is throwing it, but we know.
Yeah.
We know.
We know. The Queen cries out for her babies. My cabbages. And Leo... Yep.
Oh, God damn it. See, it's funnier now that I understand the reference.
I know. I'm so happy.
Oh, boy.
Anyway,
God.
Her cabbages are getting just flame broiled. And then Leo pulls Paige off of Piper. Phoebe gets away from Rowan, grabs a stake, and tries to stake him by just kind of like leaning on it. Like leaning on the non-pointy end.
Yeah, I just want to know where she grabs the stake from.
Don't know. And we see...
Because it's not the same stake that she had earlier either, because it's smaller.
Yep. Anyway, we see all of the bats fly back up onto their little roost on the ceiling as the Queen helps Paige up, begging her to run before the source kills them all. So they all run out of the cave, or further into the cave, rather, as Phoebe stabs Rowan, and he is vanquished in a burst of fire.
Leo says they've got to get Paige, and they take off in the direction that the Queen and Paige went. We cut to another part of the cave as Paige and the Queen run in.
Cole flames in behind them, and in the first smart thing he's done all fucking episode, knocks Paige out of the way and unconscious into a corner.
Yeah. She falls with her back to Cole so she doesn't see him.
The Queen stops, turns around, realizes he's the source, saying she should have bitten him.
He tells her to bite this, and then throws a fireball at her.
And it goes in right at the solar plexus.
Yeah, it makes a lovely little black hole right in her chest there, and she is vanquished in a burst of flame.
It took a while, too.
It kind of nice. Eats her from the middle out a little bit.
No, the amount of time it took her to get, like, flamed out reminded me of that one episode of Beyond Belief where the vampire gets double vampired and gets staked, and he's like, oh, this means I'm invincible, and starts like waxing on, and then suddenly turns into ash, and Sadie's like, that just means it takes 4 times as long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite nice. We cut back to Piper, Phoebe, and Leo as the bats start falling from the ceiling in little balls of fire.
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe asks what's going on, and Piper realizes that the queen must be dead because all of her little babies are dying.
Mm-hmm.
She calls out for Paige, and we cut back to Cole and Paige.
She's still lying on the floor, and Cole walks behind her holding one of his fireballs and just kind of bouncing it like a little softball.
Yeah.
Or tennis ball or something.
We hear Piper call for Paige, and Cole continues to bounce it for a few moments, and then
squishes it between his hands.
Yeah, he flames out, and
after saying, in-laws.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah. In-laws.
Yeah, and then
with a shake of the head.
Piper, Phoebe, and Leo all walk in. They see Paige and rush over to her, thankful that she is alive. They help her up. Leo asks if she's okay, and she says, the source was just here.
Now, I understand in this moment that she's saying that the source was just there because the queen said we have to get out before the source kills us all.
Yes.
But at the first time I was watching this through, before I was like thinking about it, it took me a second because I was like, wait, she knows the source was there, but she didn't hear his voice? Yeah. And it was like, oh, wait, no, because he didn't say anything until she was knocked unconscious.
Yeah,
like,
because he did the first smart thing of the entire fucking episode, which is knock her out before taking care of the queen.
Yeah. Because
if Paige fucking survives, the game is up. At least if she survives and sees him.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If Paige had seen him...
He had to get her out of the way first.
Yeah. Anyway. Piper asks Paige if she saw the source. She says no, and Leo realizes that the queen must have been a threat to him, which is why he killed the queen.
Yeah. Phoebe realizes that it makes sense that he'd want to kill the queen, but doesn't understand why he wouldn't also want to kill Paige or them. And Piper's like, let's count our blessings and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
We then get a lovely daytime shot of the Golden Gate Bridge, then an exterior shot of the manor that pans up from a bush in front of the tree with no leaves.
Which had leaves in the first scene.
Yep.
Just not a lot of them, but there were leaves in the first scene and there aren't now.
Piper comes running down the stairs and makes her way into the wicker room.
She is wearing blue and white striped pajama pants, which I think we've seen her in before, and a Travis Pastrana t-shirt.
She worn a different one of those before?
Yes. She has worn Pastrana stuff before, but this is the first one where it is a picture of him on one of his bikes, and it says Pastrana, super easy to read on the top. And I was like, okay, somebody has a thing for Travis Pastrana. Yeah. And I'm living for it. Yeah. I love it.
And her hair is in a nice high ponytail.
Yep, and she's got these fuzzy slippers on it that kind of reminded me of my slippers, except mine are all black and hers were white fuzz with the tan. It was nice.
Paige is sitting at the cafe table drinking some coffee. She's got her hair in pigtails with also cuff elastic.
Yeah, they're little pink elasticy things. She's got a white t-shirt under a tan cardigan.
I wouldn't call that tan.
Pink pants.
That was definitely
It was like mocha color.
It was like a weird sort of dark beige.
Taupe.
Yeah, I'd go with taupe.
All right. Taupe. Piper's like, you're up early. Did you have any vampire nightmares?
Paige is like, no, just other thoughts. Piper's like, you want to share? Paige is like, you wouldn't be interested. They're about Cole. But Piper tells her she's listening.
Paige asks if Piper remembers the guy who stood her up. And Piper's like, how can I? I never met him. And Paige is like, no, you did. He was one of the vampires.
And then she tells her about how she met him at the penthouse where he was meeting Cole.
And Piper kind of looks down at her fingers as Paige assumes that Piper's going to say that Cole might not have known he was a vampire. We should give him the benefit of the doubt.
And then Piper says that she might be onto something as a lot of little things are falling into place. And then she only lists things from this episode.
Yeah. She only lists 2 things. Like not wanting Paige to orb or not wanting them to go after vampires. But I do think that in that sentence was fun. She goes, not wanting them to... And Paige is like, save me? It's like, go after vampires.
Yeah.
Because it was like, no, he did want to save you, but then he didn't want to save you. It was weird, but it was the vampires that was the real thing.
Yeah. Piper says that it's not possible for him to be a demon, but Paige is like, we both know anything is possible.
Yeah, anything is possible.
Yeah. Piper says that if they're wrong, they'll lose Cole and Phoebe forever.
But Paige knows that they are not wrong. Something is seriously not right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get an exterior shot of the apartment building as we hear the phone ring.
Inside, Cole answers it to Paige. And after a beat, he asks how she's feeling.
She replies, human again, thank God. And he goes, yes, thank God. Which I thought was the best delivery, I have to say. It was so stiffly agreed to. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Paige asks if Phoebe is there, and he says she's sleeping, and asks if it's important.
Paige says she'll call later and hangs up. And then Phoebe walks in, wearing a pale pink nightgown.
Floor length. Or at least, like, calf length.
Yeah, it was
very long.
quite long. And that little diamond horseshoe necklace. And her hair is pulled back into a ponytail. She asks who was on the phone. He says it was no one, and asks how she was feeling. She says she's feeling better. He's like, that's good. And then tells her he's never going to be okay with her chasing demons, and she can't change that.
She says that he can't change the fact that they're going to keep coming after her, no matter how much he tries.
Mm-hmm.
And has sisters who need her. He says he understands. She asks if he does, because it didn't seem like it the day before. And he's like, I just don't want anything to ever happen to you. Is that so bad?
She replies no, in that, again, way of like, I can't say yes. And he says he'll be at work.
He kisses her on the cheek and then leaves.
And before he's even toward the elevator,
yeah,
the phone rings, and she kind of glances back at him of like, is he going to be mad if I answer the phone?
I kind of interpret that as is he going to want to get this?
Yeah. She answers the phone, and it is the doctors with her test results. She says, I'm what? And then faints. And there's a little bit of a continuity error.
A big bit of a continuity error. Because she falls off, like, to her left. And, like...
And when the shot pulls out, she is laying on her right side.
Not only is she laying on her right side, she's laying a good 2 feet away from the table.
Yeah.
Because if she were any closer, the chair would be blocking her.
Yeah, and the phone, which she dropped, she didn't place down, she dropped, is now just carefully placed next to the receiver.
It's very staged.
On the table. It was so staged.
Yeah. And we hear the doctor's voice on the phone saying he double-checked the results himself, and she's definitely pregnant. And he congratulates her, and then realizes she's not answering, and calls out her name a couple of times.
Miss Halliwell, hello? And we go to the end credits.
Yep.
And it was like, we had like ominous music playing over it.
Yeah.
It was just...
It was like a dark church choir.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting. It was fun.
Yeah.
The music, I think, was the best part of that scene.
Yes.
We're just like, this is ominous. Wait for it. Wait for it. There it is. But that's the end of the episode.
Tis.
So, with the episode ending, that means we are on to our ratings. I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10 vampire sponge baths. Because that was, the best part for me.
Mm-hmm.
Vampire sponge baths. This is just like, yes, use your power for good. Clean yourself up.
I'm giving this 7.5 out of 10 Redless Rowans.
All right.
And I will say that my second choice for a rating would not have been alliterative, but it would have been a pun.
Yeah.
Assault and battery.
Oh. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
Uh-huh.
Nope, no.
Yeah.
No. So, with our ratings done, that means we are on to outfits.
I do really like Paige's sexy vampire outfit.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way that they
never put her
did
in
the
red, really. Not that deep, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, when she was the evil past life, she had that lovely emerald green. And this is just like this is just across the color wheel from that. Mm-hmm. And it looks super nice.
She looks really, really good in red because she's got such pale skin.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And the dark hair. And that's also why she looks good in like a dark green.
Yeah.
She's very good in jewel tones.
Yes. Yeah, she has a jewelry box all of her own.
Yes.
I didn't really care much for any of her other outfits, so that was like the best one.
I mean, I do enjoy the blue weird cord halter top thing, just because like I remember that one.
I mean, I liked the jeans.
Jeans are good, but no, like I just remember like I saw the shirt again. And I was like, oh yeah, that shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Piper's main outfit, the one that she had in most of the outfit, with the little sheer overlay. Like, it was cute on her. It was still very classic, but it was cute. And Phoebe, honestly, I liked the black dress at the beginning and the pink nightie at the end. I did not enjoy the sheer...
I liked it with a denim jacket.
With a jacket on it, it just kind of was pants. With a bit of sheer showing through.
It was double denim.
Yeah. But, like, I was not a fan of this particular top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's nothing against her. It looked great on her.
Yeah.
But I was just not a fan of this particular top.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was just like the cut of the sleeve or like the random
weirdly enough
sequined peacocks.
Both of your favorite outfits of hers are when her hair's in a ponytail. Could that be part of it? Probably
I don't think
not.
so.
But it just strikes me as funny.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Because I mean, maybe. Because then the bangs didn't look so weird because it looked like her hair was short. Maybe subconsciously.
Maybe.
Anyway, with ratings over and outfits over, that means we're on to social media.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As always, you can find us at www.charmchats.com.
Oh, my goodness. The www.
What? I like doing that.
Oh, boy.
And if you have any questions, comments, queries, you can send them to charmedchats@gmail.com. And hey, guess what? At our website, you can find the links to our Twitter, our Tumblr, our Instagram, our YouTube, our Redbubble, and Patreon pages.
And if you email us the phrase, "We're the power of 2 plus blue," you can get into our Discord even if you're not a patron. Because the Discord gets all the fun stuff first. Mm-hmm. They'll get all sorts of random shit and they'll be like, this will make sense in a few weeks.
Yeah.
You know, but it's great. The only thing that I ask is when you get into the Discord, you just follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And if your Discord name doesn't match the name from your email, just let me know who you are, just so I'm positive of who you are.
Yes.
You know, little things.
Yeah.
But I think that's everything. So, until next time.
Sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite.
Or let the vampires bite either.
Yeah.
But wait, no, that's fine. They're dead now.
Yes, true.
Bye!
Bye!
Piper, Phoebe, and Paige, kicking evil's ass weekly in this war they wage. So we'll see where it's at next time with Kendra and Kat on Charm Chats.
Hashtag Flittermouse.